Hello, everybody. Welcome to NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars. My name is Uzma Sheikh. Today is June 4th. We are already in June. That's a little unbelievable for me. But you are attending one of our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. Again, as I mentioned, my name is Uzma Sheikh. I'm a consultant here at NJSBDC, New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. We are a network and a statewide program powered by the SBA, Small Business Administration, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. All right, and those things are no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one that you're attending, and exclusive small business resources. If you'd like to learn more about our network, about our 10 regional centers in our state office, about where our regional centers are located, as you could see by the small SBDC logos on the map of New Jersey, definitely go to njsbdc.com and find out where those exact locations are and how we can serve you. Just a little heads up or disclaimer, however. So today I am feeling a little under the weather, so apologies for any noise disturbance or anything that you might encounter during the course of this webinar. All right, so go ahead in the chat, and while I go through the headlines and the presentation, let us know where you're from, where you're joining from, what you plan to do as a small business if you haven't registered yet, how you heard about us, anything you'd like to share. Make sure that you're sharing with everyone, not just hosts and panelists, unless it is for me or our speaker. And feel free to network in the chat. All right, so agenda, we have a couple of headlines, then we have our presentation, and then a Q&A session. Headlines are these headlines of the week. These are just things that are happening in the small business community, events or just press releases that are helpful and relevant for small businesses in the state of New Jersey, of course. First is a press release from NJEDA. NJEDA is New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Alongside us, our organization, NJEDA is a great resource for small businesses, so definitely keep this organization in mind for your small business journey. This is a press release from May 31st, so just a couple of days ago. NJEDA to host information session at Kane University for New Emerging Developers Grant. So this is for a grant. It is in-person information session on June 5th, so that's tomorrow, to introduce the newly established $20 million Emerging Developers Grant pilot program. Program will help developers gain access to capital and build additional capacity to expand their existing portfolio by providing grants of up to $250,000 for pre-development soft costs. Applications are expected to launch on June 24th, 2024. All right, so what, who, when, where, all the information is right here. Definitely check it out. All these links will be shared in the chat after I'm done sharing my screen. All right, next is a press release from NJDA as well, released just yesterday. 34 innovative companies awarded benefits through NJEDA's Technology Business Tax Certificate Transfer, which is the NOL program in 2023. 2024 applications are open until June 30th. This is technology and life sciences companies, and they were awarded more than $68 million through the NOL program. This allowed early stage technology and life sciences companies in New Jersey to sell a percentage of their net operating losses and unused research and development tax credits. All right, so if you are interested in the applications of this year, then the applications opened on May 1st. We did share the headline when they were open, and they will close on Sunday, June 30th. And there is a list of all the companies that were included, that were awarded. Then we have a press release from the SBA, U.S. Small Business Administration. And what you will see here is a press release. Biden-Harris administration announces new actions and resources to advance clean energy economy. SBA removes cap on loans for clean energy projects. We have shared this before. This is just a cap removal, and it is part of initiatives to catalyze and democratize, excuse me, investment in climate and clean energy. All right. And fourth is NJBIA, New Jersey Business and Industry Association, state seeking manager for $20 million social impact investment fund. Treasury Department said this week the state seeking a manager for a $20 million investment fund tasked with financing projects such as affordable housing, infrastructure, and early childhood centers in underserved communities. All right, let's see some other important information. Seated with $20 million in the state budget. All right, questions regarding the notice are due on Tuesday, June 11th by 5 p.m. Deadline to respond to the notice is July 19th by 3 p.m. Again, all these links will be shared in the chat. Some rules that we'd like to keep in mind. If you have any questions for our speaker, put them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. They'll probably get lost with all the comments and links that I'll be sharing. If you have any concerns for NJSBDC, any comments, questions, put them in the chat, but anything for the speaker, you should put them in the Q&A box. If you would like to receive the slides from our speaker today, please complete a brief survey. And this webinar is being recorded. Link will be shared in the chat on where it will be available. And that is our YouTube channel as well as our page. All right, so session 27 in our series, Vanessa Schwartz, our startup consultant, who is here with us today, launcher in New Jersey business. Vanessa, welcome. And
Hi. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay, Uzma?
Yes, I can hear you okay.
Excellent. Okay. So welcome, everybody. I hope everybody had a great weekend, and thank you for joining. I think that this is a great opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about the business formation and registration process, the options available to you as potential, or if you're already in business, what types of business structures there are, and what maybe the differences are among them, so you can best decide what works best for you and your business. So whether you're just somebody who is here learning to maybe take that hobby to the next level, or maybe you're somebody who is looking to get into entrepreneurship, getting out of that W-2 working for somebody else, but taking that skill and doing it for yourself, or just looking for a side gig, we are a great resource for you to take advantage of. We, as Uzma said, no cost counseling, and we're here to assist you through every step and be your mentor. So I'm going to share my screen right now. We'll get our slides up, and we will get started. Okay, share, and let's get that up. And here we go. Slideshow. Okay. All good, Uzma? Can you see my slides?
Yes, can see your slides.
Okay. And can you see me as well? I've been having some trouble with my Zoom.
Nope, can see you and the slides. Perfect.
Okay, excellent. Well, I can't see myself, but I don't need to. So anyway, what to know about starting your business. So once again, we're going to talk about the business structures that are out there. We're going to get a little bit into the formation and registration and how we can assist you through that process. We'll touch upon what being an entrepreneur in New Jersey means in terms of state regulation and taxes. Funding and cash management, always an important topic to discuss as you're starting a business or getting a business off the ground, and any additional needs that might be necessary for you to be successful as you either get started or as you are going along in your journey. And, short-term, long-term goals. Once you're up and running, what other opportunities might there be available to you to help you grow, but not only just grow, but grow profitably. So the first business structure that I would like to talk about is called the sole proprietorship. It is really taking yourself, the person, and going to a place where you're going to transact business, sell goods or services on behalf of yourself, make an income, and allowing that income to be recognizable by the federal government, by the state, and set yourself up for taxation. Now, doesn't cost very much to do that. You can register directly as yourself with the state, or if you'd like to go by a name and be able to represent yourself under a trade name, you can apply for a trade name right through your county clerk's office. Costs about $50, $60, relatively inexpensive. You can use your social security number as your tax ID. But if you'd like, you can also get a EIN, that stands for Employer Identification Number, directly from the IRS to use for your tax number. Sometimes I think more lately what we've been telling people, and more people are realizing, that if at all possible, it doesn't cost you anything extra, maybe best to get a tax ID from the IRS, because even though you're only a sole proprietor, you don't have to get a tax ID. When you're out doing your thing, transacting business, maybe better not to have to throw your social security number around every time somebody asks for your tax ID. So it's not a bad idea. You are perfectly welcome to use your personal bank account to transact business and deposit any receipts that you may receive. You don't need a separate business bank account. And any income that you receive is passed through straight to your personal income tax return, however you may file. And usually for something like this, we use the Schedule C, disregarded entity, the Schedule C tax, federal tax filing attached to your personal income tax. Reflect your sales, your expenses, and ultimately your income. Now, the thing about the sole proprietorship is that there's no legal separation between yourself as the owner and the business. The downside is that, unfortunately, in this case, you have absolutely no liability protection as a business owner. And I say that only in quotes because your business is yourself, not separate from you legally. So if, for example, you decide to start a business and you want to do a sole prop cutting down trees, not a good idea. Any kind of damage, any kind of potential litigation or lawsuit, you would be exposing yourself personally, your personal assets, as a sole proprietor. So what we say is, maybe you want to, at a certain level of liability and protection, you want to think about doing a business entity. And now we're going to talk about the first business entity that comes to mind, a step up from that sole proprietor. Now we're getting into the entity sphere of running a business, is the LLC, limited liability company. Costs $125 in New Jersey to form an LLC. Each state is different. They are state regulated and sponsored, if you will. So the cost could be different state by state. New Jersey, it's $125. There is a small processing fee. Can all be done right online through the New Jersey portal, which takes you to the Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services. So you form your LLC, you pay your $125. Your only obligation to maintain that LLC in good standing is $75 a year. Payment to be paid on your anniversary of formation. It's called filing an annual report. It sounds scary, and it sounds like there's a lot to do, and now we'll have to file an annual report. If you can order, a dress on Amazon, or if you can go on Amazon to order a book, you can go on to the site and pay your annual dues. It's really nothing other than paying $75 to keep your LLC in good standing. There's no filing of a report, yet it's called filing an annual report. In an LLC, you must get a tax ID number from the IRS. It is free. Again, I'm going to say it a couple of times. There's no cost to going to the IRS, applying online, right on the website to obtain a federal employer identification number. If you find yourself getting an EIN and you're somewhere and all of a sudden you get to a point where enter your credit card information, you have veered off into some third party site, which happens. It has happened to me. When I first started out in this business and counseling, I thought I was on the right site. And next thing I know, I was being prompted for a credit card payment. And I was very confused. So I'm going to tell you up front, it does not cost anything to get a tax ID number. So stick with irs.gov. You should be fine. You'll get your tax ID. You are required to have a separate business bank account. Now we're getting into why we have a limited liability company. We are legally separating ourselves from the business. And now we have a entity that is separate from ourselves and which requires a separate business account. So you'll set that up. And what's interesting about the LLC is that the LLC allows the business owner or owners to choose how they wish to be taxed. So you have a choice. So you can choose a Schedule C. So if you're a single member, one owner, member means owner in LLC terminology. If you are a single member LLC, you can choose to be taxed as if you were a sole proprietor. And remember that Schedule C is the default sole proprietor taxation method. If you are more than one owner and you're a multi-member LLC, then you can choose, you will default typically to a Form 1065. A Form 1065 is your standard IRS tax filing for partnerships. Does not make you a partnership. A partnership has its own separate legal structure and rules and regulations. You are a multi-member LLC being taxed as a partnership. That's the Form 1065. Both single member LLCs and multi-member LLCs can also, if they so choose, be taxed as a corporation. Now, that gets a little more complicated. We're not going to get into a lot of detail about it. I would always say if you are somebody who thinks that being taxed as a corporation is in your best interest, you need to speak with your accountant, run the numbers, and see if that makes sense. We'll talk a little bit about more why that comes into play, but just know that the Form 1120 is the corporate tax filing. So there you go. You have your limited liability. Next step up in terms of protection and structure is your corporation. So corporations are corporations. You incorporate. It's a little more cumbersome. It costs a little more money to operate. Even though it doesn't cost as much to form a corporation when you're actually doing the legal formation online. It's $75 to form versus the $125. But filing for corporations over time can become more expensive. There's more to do. You must establish bylaws for that company. You need to create a board of directors. There's requirements for shareholder meetings. You, on its face value as a corporate entity, you are subject to corporate taxation. So that means that your corporation is its own breathing, living entity. And when it gets to the net income number on a income statement, the corporation must pay an income tax, a corporate tax, on that income. Anything left over gets distributed to the shareholders, at which time then the shareholder must pay tax on those dividends. So that's often referred to as the double taxation. So all your C corps, as it's called, traditional standard corporations are subject to double taxation. It does not lend itself to a small business at all. So when you are a small business that for some reason, there are reasons why you would be more apt to choose the corporation over the LLC, you have the option with the IRS to then file for the S Corp tax designation. Again, we'll talk a little bit about that, but that limits the corporate tax rate. So just back to why would a small business decide to incorporate versus just do an easy LLC? sometimes there are certain industries that really do lend themselves to being in a corporate business structure. High risk, um, high chance of litigation, um, where the liability protection is welcome. It is your probably strongest veil in terms of liability protection. It is somewhat easier to raise money sometimes as a corporation, because you can issue shares and you can issue equity and get more shareholders in order to fund the operation. So there are some reasons why some industries may decide to incorporate. Some vendors only wish to do business and contract to corporations. I've heard that there are some large, when you get into trucking and you're dealing with large, um, interstate travel of big rigs, there are certain vendors that really only wish to contract with a corporate business entity. So there are some reasons why that come into play. But just know that when you get to your forming, whether you choose the sole proprietorship and get the trade name, whether you do the LLC, whether you incorporate, all these items are just really step one. Please know that in New Jersey, it is a two-step process to be complete. And three, if you include having to get a tax ID number from the IRS. But once you have made a decision of which structure that you think you're going to go with, you must register that business with the Division of Taxation through New Jersey. So there's the legal formation, which is step one. And that gives either the articles of formation in a limited liability company, articles of incorporation from a corporate and business entity, or getting just your trade name certificate from your county clerk's office. Once that's in place, you go to the NJ Reg. Again, can be done all online. This piece doesn't cost anything. And you register what you have formed for tax purposes. Okay, so moving on. So the S Corp, just a little bit on that. It can be complicated. There are accounting questions when it comes to deciding if you'd like to choose the S Corp option. But just keep in mind, for the purposes of today, what we want to educate you on and make sure you understand is that S corporations are not business entities so much as they are tax designations. So if you are a corporation and you have incorporated, you can choose to apply for S Corp tax designation. Requires some paperwork, and the benefit to that is that your corporation is now an S Corp. It's being treated as an S Corp through the IRS and through state taxation, that you no longer would have to pay the corporate tax rate. Your income gets passed through directly to your personal returns. And even though the corporation is still has a separate tax filing, any income will then get distributed among the shareholders and be brought back to their own returns for taxation. So now the other option is if you decide to be an LLC and you're a limited liability company, you also can choose to be taxed as an S Corp. You file for corporate taxation. And in that step, you also ask for the S Corp tax designation. Why would you do that as an LLC? There are times and circumstances, depending on your tax bracket, depending on how much money you are making, where it could be more tax advantageous for you to be taxed as an S Corp than an LLC. The premise basically stems from the fact that as LLC owners, you are self-employed and your payment to yourself comes through your profits, and you pay self-employment taxes on your profit. If you choose to be taxed as an S Corp, you can put yourself as on payroll. You can be the employer and the employee of your own company. You would your company would issue you a W-2. You'll have your withholdings held as the employee, as the employer. You would deduct that as a salary on your operating expenses. And you would also share the burden, the employee versus the employer, again, same person, but different roles, of the payroll taxes. So you would have your withholdings as the employee taken out of your W-2, but as the employer, those other half of that payroll obligation can be tax deductible. So all of this is, at the end of the day, determines whether or not that final tax burden, is it more advantageous to run the numbers under a traditional Schedule C or 1065 filing, or do I choose to be taxed as a corporation, put myself on payroll, and am I better off at the end? I can't answer that. You may, if you're got an accounting background, you may be able to figure that out yourself. I say speak to an accountant, because it's not just yourself. You have to see where you fit with your partner, if you're filing jointly, where you are in terms of your tax bracket, what makes the most sense. So that's all we're going to say about that for now, but just know that you do have the option. So now we're going to focus a little bit more on the formation and registration process of the LLC. That is the most common vehicle that we work with when it comes to businesses that come to us. And what I want to say about the formation process is it's easy enough to do it on your own, but hard enough that you probably don't want to do it on your own. So what I mean by that is take advantage of our services. We will sit with you and make sure you do it correctly. You don't have to hire a third party. When it comes to the LLC, it's pretty straightforward. It's meant to be done by the business owner. It's all online through the NJ portal. It's filling out the application. It's getting the legal articles of formation filed, and it's registering through the Division of Taxation. When you hire a third party, you pay, I'm understanding that the prices have really skyrocketed, a lot of money, and you don't know what's happening. You don't know exactly what they're doing, and they don't take the step to register you. So many times you think you're done and you're not. And so if you have already used a LegalZoom or a third party to handle your legal formation of your LLC and you are not sure if you're registered, contact us. We can help you figure that out. We'll look it up. And if not, we'll walk you through the process. So we say, don't pay a third party to do what you can and should be able to do for yourself. But we understand that it's nerve-wracking and you don't want to make a mistake. So have somebody sit with you who knows that process inside and out. We can do it over the phone. It's not, you don't have to come in and see us necessarily. We can guide you through the process, make sure it's done, you're formed, registered, all within an hour. And what's nice about doing it yourself too is that you have the option to learn as you go. So as certain terms come up, and what does this mean? We're educating you. We're like, okay, this is why they're asking you this. And these are important things to know when you're a business owner. You shouldn't just operate in a vacuum and say, oh, that person took care of it. You know, I don't really know what it all means. And I don't know, I didn't ask any questions. I just paid somebody money. That can be problematic down the road when there are grants available and you need to understand how you're set up, when taxes are involved, when someone asks you a question about your business and you don't know the difference between your certificate of formation and your letter from the IRS and your tax registration, and they're asking for paper. Understand the process, understand your paperwork, know what it means, put it in a safe space, and know where to go if you need to pull something. You are going to get a handful of third-party solicitations once you register, whether you do it through us, yourself, or through a third party, that's going to look so official. And they're going to tell you, you need this, send me this. If you don't send me this, you're going to be subject to a $10,000 fine. That is all baloney. Even if there's, and what's scary is that even if there's a glimmer of truth in it, it may not apply to you. So understand the ins and the outs. The only thing you have to do when you form an LLC is to form, register, make sure you stay on top of your annual dues, and there are some additional items that are required of you that we're going to talk a little bit about, but you can do for yourself. And if you need to do for yourself, it's all available for you right on the portal. So that's all I'll say about that. But any questions along the way, you have a mentor, you have somebody you can contact at the NJSBDC to say, throw that out, you don't need it, or okay, you might need that, but you can do it yourself if down the road. Don't pay 3 times the amount of money for what you could do yourself and get for yourself right online. And this is just an extra slide to reinforce the fact that once you have formed, whether you have a trade name through the sole proprietorship, you have articles of formation through your LLC, you have articles of incorporation through your corporate tax filing, you must register the business. If you're not legally registered, you're not supposed to transact business. It's not sufficient just to have an LLC or just to have a corporation or a trade name. You're only able to transact once you're legally registered. So it's often overlooked. And remember, those third parties don't do that for you. There is a new federal requirement. This is called the Beneficial Ownership Information Report. After filing, you have 90 days now, starting in January 1 of this year. The federal government has now mandated, I guess legislation had passed, that now LLCs have to as well register with the federal government to basically show that the business has been formed and who the beneficial owners of that business are. I have seen solicitations to have that done for you for $150. I may quit my job and go do that on the side, but I would feel terrible because it takes 5 minutes and it doesn't cost anything. So these are the types of things that we will make sure you're aware of. Again, this is just an additional step that is required. You have 90 days to do this. I have read somewhere that come January 1, 2025, they're going to give you 60 days to do it. For now, they're giving you 90 days. Okay. So this is something that we can assist you with. We have the link. This is the link right here. Actually, I'm going to click on it right now. Why not? And you can see for yourself that you'll go here. It'll take you to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And you will go to, let's see, file a report. All right, that right through the e-filing system. And we'll go here, beneficial ownership information, get started. You can do it in a PDF and take your time figuring it out and then download it. Anytime I'm walking anybody through it, I'm just doing the file online, BOIR, prepare and submit. I agree. And there's just, as you can see here, there's a couple things we have to kind of go through. Next, with the company names, who you are, who the owner is, submit. You do have to upload a driver's license. So, you follow along. It's pretty straightforward. If you have questions about it, we'll walk you through it. Okay. Now, when you form an LLC, what's nice is that, so if you make an appointment with us, get your initial consultation, we'll make sure that you understand all of this. You'll need a unique name in New Jersey. And you'll see when you get the slides, if you fill out the survey at the end, you'll get the slides. You'll be able to have access to all the slides in one place on this presentation. But you have to make sure your name is available. LLCs have to have a unique name in the state. So oh my goodness. Oh, I know what I did wrong. If I wanted to, oh, look at this. I'm in the wrong place. Oh, and now I'm screwing this up. I swear it's a lot easier than that. Let's see. I want to look at name. That's what I did. Name availability. Oh, can I do sample business as my name? Yes, I can. So if I wanted to create a business in the state of New Jersey called Sample Business, I know that that name is now available. You have to be unique. So you can play around with it as you like. And that's something you'll have to be ready to do. You'll need your EIN from the IRS, free. We'll need some industry codes that there'll be a database. We'll look them up. We need to, New Jersey has a list of codes to help identify what kind of business is being formed. Then the North Atlantic Industry Classification System, the NICS code, is another one that's required. Basically, for statistical purposes, it's a way of keeping track of the types of businesses that are being formed, what industries, that sort of thing. It does become a little more important down the road what code you pick. But you know what? You could have multiple codes that identify you. We want to find the one that most accurately represents what your business is doing, maybe where you're getting the largest source of revenue from is what code might identify. Where I say it becomes a little more important down the road is when you're looking for maybe government contracting or looking to become a woman or minority owned business and you want to identify yourself, and you'll have an opportunity to probably in that application use as many codes that identify what you're doing. So it is important, but for the purposes of formation and registration, we'll help you make sure you get your codes. You'll need a registered agent. A registered agent has to be in New Jersey, cannot be a PO box, and you are allowed in New Jersey to be your own registered agent. It is basically the person and address that is the of record for your company, where the state can find you, get information to you, drop off legal documentation if you're being sued or need to be served. Hopefully that never happens to anybody, but that's the purpose. So you can form an LLC in New Jersey and be in Pennsylvania, but you have to have a registered agent within the state of New Jersey to be that place. It doesn't have to be your place of business, but it has to be somebody or something that is the reference point for the state. Now, again, you can be your own registered agent. You can put your name, your address. Some people don't necessarily want that to be there because they don't want to be on record. So you can hire a registered agent, and we can help you with that and show you, who to choose or what options you have for choices there. If you're more than one person, you need an operating agreement. It's multi-member LLCs are required to have an operating agreement. You don't necessarily need to have it be done by a lawyer, but in all things legal, if you're worried, if you want to make sure you're doing it correctly, it does have legal ramifications. Hiring a lawyer is not a bad idea. Why do I say that? So within an operating agreement, we need to outline our contributions as owners to the business, our profit determination of what our profit sharing will be, who gets what our roles will be in that business. But the most important thing is if the business were to be dissolved tomorrow and the assets needed to be distributed, and how we're going to close out, where does the money go? Is there debt? Who do we pay back? Who loaned money into the business? This needs to be very nicely spelled out in a document. So you want to make sure you have it done correctly. There are templates out there. If it's easy enough, you want to follow a template, put something in writing, you can do that. If it gets more complicated and you're not quite sure, we would say hire an attorney. You'll need the names and addresses and social security number and percentage of ownership of all the members and owners in the business. And what you need to know is you need to know how you wish to be taxed. Default for a single member is your Schedule C. Default for multi-member is your 1065. And some people from the get-go decide, no, this is a big business. We already know we want to file as an S Corp. We're going to check that box, get the paperwork done immediately. This is what we're doing. That's fine. If you choose to change your mind along the way and start with the Schedule C, you can certainly do that. In a different tax year, you can make that change, elect the change as a process to do that. You are permitted to change that along the way as your circumstances change. You need to know if the sale of your goods and services are subject to state sales tax. Are you selling products that require you as the retailer to collect tax? I'm not talking about income. Do not get confused with income tax. This is sales tax. When you go into the store and you purchase a pack of gum and you go to the Walgreens checkout, it's the price of the gum plus tax. They collect it. What you don't realize, and what I never realized until I started doing all of this, is that they take that money, it goes into account, they hold it, and at some point, whether it be monthly or quarterly, usually in a small business, it would be quarterly, they remit all the sales tax to the state. They are basically under, as the business, and you would be as the business owner, responsible for collecting the sales tax from the consumer and passing it to the state for the privilege of you doing business in the state. So, but not everything is subject to sales tax. So we have booklets. I have a link to it later in the presentation where you can look up and say, hey, is my product subject to sales tax? Is my service subject to sales tax? Normally, consumer products are taxable. Services are normally not. However, there are exceptions everywhere. So, for example, one that I was never aware of is if you're in the housekeeping, residential, commercial, doesn't matter, but if you are thinking of doing cleaning work, whether it be for homes or businesses, that is subject to sales tax. And then there's, in terms of consumer products, as we all know, clothing is not subject to sales tax. So if you're selling t-shirts or basic apparel, New Jersey does not collect sales tax on those items, so you don't have to collect that. However, there's a difference between or we'll say a sneaker and a cleat. Sports equipment are if you're buying a cleat for your kids for soccer or you're selling, that is subject to sales tax. You never quite notice it, but you'll see that basic apparel and footwear may not be, but certain items are. So we look it up, we let you know, and then if you need assistance in learning how to go about doing that, I walk through this with people all the time. It's an online process. You collect the money, you hold it every quarter, you log into the portal, you tell the state how much sales tax you may have collected in that quarter, and somehow it either gets transferred via wire from your business bank account, or they take credit cards. If you want to charge it, they'll actually take a credit card, which kind of surprises me, but they do. So some businesses require additional registration and certifications. There's workers' compensation questions, additional certifications and registrations. We're talking about the handyman license, the general contractor registration, the home health aide license, the food safety. If at any time as we're forming your business and we want to see what else you possibly need to conduct that business and transact that business in the state, we'll give you the resources to show you what you may need. And then you want to identify where you might be able to open up a business bank account. You don't want to pay monthly fees if at all possible, but you can always just do your research, see if there's anybody who's willing to give you free checking, if you keep a certain amount of money in the bank account, if you do so many transactions a month, maybe, where you're personally banking, they're happy to take your business banking and offer you a deal. So that's the kind of thing you'll need to have, because remember, once you form and register your LLC, you must open a business bank account. You can no longer commingle your funds. Any money that comes into the business gets deposited into the business bank account. You as the owner are more than welcome to withdraw, transfer that money once it's in the system, but it must be deposited into the business bank account, not your personal. This is a bunch of nice links that you can peruse through once you get the slides, some of the stuff we've talked about, the sales tax. talks a little bit about income tax requirements. All I want to say about that for now is remember, you are now self-employed. What does that mean? The government does not wait till April 15th to receive your 12 months of income taxes. You will have to figure out and determine the best way to remit income taxes, and they will be estimated over the course of the 12 months, so that come tax time, when you file your tax returns, if you've paid too much, you'll get money back. If you haven't paid enough, you will owe. So that's something different. If you've never been self-employed before, it's not something you're used to. For years, I would have just my income taxes taken out of my paycheck. Never thought about it. Very different now. Now you'll have to set up a little process to make sure that you're paying as you go. And just a little tidbit, what else we offer: counseling on funding and cash management. Do you need additional sources of capital? I can walk you through and many other counselors in our network can walk you through loan preparation, financial projections, business plans, introduce you to SBA lenders, get you ready in case you need a little startup money. These are all the types of things that we do. And we want to educate you with some financial literacy, the webinars we offer, the counseling we do. We encourage you to make sure you learn the business, learn the numbers, understand the difference between your income statement and your balance sheet. You don't have to be experts. You can hire accountants, but you want to be in the know. You want to be comfortable, because at the end of the day, you want to take in more than you spend. And that's what we all want. We want profitable businesses. And sometimes when you're in the weeds, it's hard to tell if you're not keeping your books right, if you're not organized, if you're spending money on, the company picnic before you had a single sale. That could be a problem. And we're here to really help you with that kind of planning. And we will always tell you when you need professional services. I'm not going to run your accounting, we're not going to do your accounting for you, because this is, we need to leave the important things to the experts when necessary, whether it be legal counsel, accounting advice that's personal to your specific setup, insurance. We're mentors. We can talk about insurance, give you advice, but I would say go talk to the agent. Have them tell you. They spent their whole life studying insurance, and it may be a pain in the neck, but hear it from the horse's mouth. Not that they're horses, they're lovely people, but understand, let them educate you, educate yourself. Even the lenders, they're fantastic. Our SBA partners, they want to help you. They're rooting for you. They may not always give you the loan, but they will sit and work through it with you and give you counsel. A lot of the nice small banks we deal with, and big banks too, but and that's why we partner with them, because there's only so much they can do as the lender. Then they like to turn it over to us to really, so that we can sit with you and really help you with those projections, help you with your plan. We have counselors on hand who do marketing and social media, if that's more the area of consultation that you need. Basically, any type of mentorship is what we're trying to accomplish. And down the road, if you're looking for state certifications, we'll help you get your procurement, government contracts. If that's what you're interested in, we'll help you become women, minority-owned business, veteran, disabled veteran, LGBTQ plus certifications. This allows you to get yourself set up with the state and recognized as a small business enterprise, and will help along the way if you're interested in doing business either with the federal government or the state or your municipalities, your board of eds. So that's something we would assist with as well. And NJEDA, if you need assistance with some of they're a great site, great resource for small businesses in the state in terms of grants, low interest loans. We have people here who help with those applications. So ultimately, we hope to be a resource for you as you start and grow your business. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to questions. But just know, if you are not in business right now, and you would like to form a business, and starting from scratch, you can kind of move to the head of the line a little bit, and only in that. And you're not moving to the head of the line. I shouldn't have said that, but you'll get immediately sent to people who help with the startups. So that would be QR on the top. with that link. When you get the slides, you can click there, and we would focus primarily on all your startup needs. If you're already in business and you're moving along and some of these other topics are of interest to you, just make your appointment. You'll get assigned to a counselor at your home center. You can either scan the QR code, or again, when you get the slides, you can click there. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Vanessa. Before we jump into questions, we do have 3 questions that our audience has asked. Let me just say quick reminders. So this webinar has been recorded since the start. If you need to jump off right now, or if you just want to give it a rewatch, it will be available on our YouTube channel as well as our video library in 1 to 2 business days, just a couple of days. And
oops, sorry.
It's okay. Just I was wondering.
No. Let me go back to there we go. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Everything's a little different today with the setup.
And this will be available on our YouTube channel as well as our video library. And if you'd like to receive the slides that Vanessa just shared, then you can fill out our quick survey. I will share those links in a few. And you can click on that, and it's a quick Google Forms. As soon as you hit submit, you get a link. It's not emailed to you, it will be on the page. You click that and you'll be redirected to the slides. All right. So first question is from Jillian. We'll go in the order that we received them. Jillian says, do I need necessarily a bookkeeping to pay my taxes and keep records, or I could just do it for myself?
Do you need a bookkeeper?
Yeah, bookkeeping software or a bookkeeper.
So I'm a small business and I use an Excel spreadsheet. I'm most comfortable with that. Some people like to use QuickBooks. Some people like to use a notebook and reconcile. It really depends. It's up to you and how you're most comfortable. This is what you need to know at the end of the day: what your expenses are, what your sales are, and how you're going to go about paying estimated income taxes. So however you're best comfortable to handle that is up to you.
Got it. Thank you. Next question is from David. David says, can I register my partnership LLC as an owner living here in New Jersey, being a U.S. citizen, and my partner is being outside the U.S.?
Yes, as long as the owner has a tax ID number. So if they're not here in the country, they have to apply for an international tax identification number. It's called the ITIN, and I believe you could do that right. Yeah, you could do that right on the IRS website. But as long as the person has a tax ID and that yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Next question is from Gail. I believe this question was asked for when you were mentioning the tax payments. And Gail says, how do you manage estimated payments when business started May 30th? Begin with 2 quarterly payments now in June, or only make 3, not 4 payments for the year?
So I'm just here to tell you that small business owners have to pay estimated income taxes. I'm not completely versed in how to set that up necessarily. I'm just actually learning that myself as a business owner, because I only recently formed my LLC about less than a year ago. There's some sites. My understanding is that once you start, you have to start earning some income. So, don't worry too much about it until your income starts coming in. I would say that if you have any questions, I would speak to an accountant or look at the links that are on this site. It'll give you explanation of how to set it up. I think going forward mode, once your money is coming in, quarterly is the best way to do it, to set it up. And then of course, if you hadn't, don't worry. I mean, obviously you didn't, January you weren't operating. So whatever you've done up until now, you can probably pay toward any income you've made. But that's just my understanding of it.
I think I would just echo the same thing, Vanessa. I didn't know about any of that information until I filed my taxes in April, and my accountant told me about it. So I think it's something that, again, you can search on Google, but if you have an accountant, they'll definitely advise you on this. Okay, Gail followed up and said, I started a business in October of 2011 and was penalized for not paying Q1 or Q2. Yeah, I think there's a small fee when you don't pay for the if I'm not mistaken, I think I also I was penalized, not to share personal information, but I was penalized because I didn't know about this for last year. But it's not that giant of a fee compared to like what you would think.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to educate yourself. We're here to give you the resources. We're happy to kind of work through it with you and look that up. I'm not as versed in the accounting side of things. I mean, again, I know this is what you have to do. You would be penalized, but yeah, I think that if you're nervous about it, I would definitely speak to your accountant.
Yep. Thank you. And Craig asks, does the next link you provided show us all the different industry codes and what they mean?
Yes. If you go to if you just even, I don't even know if we had a link. Did we have a link? No, I don't know that we have a link in this presentation. If you Google NAICS codes, U.S. Census Bureau comes up. There's a little keyword search. Every industry is. I mean, you can peruse through that. Sometimes it's a little bit cumbersome, but yeah, you just kind of put some keywords in, and you'll be able to find what identifies you.
All right, and before I go into our conclusion of the webinar, I just want to address Tanya and Exia's comments in the chat. So women-owned business certifications and minority-owned business certifications. If you go to njsbdc.com, and I will just go to our website in a few. If you go there and look up events and things like that, we do provide certifications. Not often, but they are available. We also have consultants who can help you with that and walk you through that process. So it's not something that we can provide. And I'm sure we have past webinars on this as well. So you just have to do a little digging around on our website or YouTube page, something like that, and find those things. If you are interested in speaking with a consultant, go to njsbdc.com and request counseling and ask for that specifically. So here we go. This is our website, njsbdc.com. What you would do, the first thing that shows up is, request counseling. You have to put in your email. And our general counseling, we serve residents and small businesses of New Jersey only. So I know I saw a couple of our attendees saying that, hello from Texas, welcome, thank you for attending. But if you're in Texas, you would probably have to look for an SBDC near you in Texas. You can certainly are more than welcome to attend our webinars, but for counseling, you would have to be a resident or a small business owner of New Jersey. So do that and then request counseling. When you request counseling, there will just be a little application that you have to fill out, and make sure that in that application, you're putting specifically that you want to speak with a consultant who can help you with minority certifications or woman-owned certifications, things like that. Or in a different case, when you go to the link, if you want to speak with Vanessa and her team, then you would say that, you know, you attended a webinar and then you would like to request counseling from this team. All right, so that's the first thing. Then counseling events, we have 2 pages here, event schedule, and then we have our resources and data. I just want to quickly point this out. We have a lot of resources listed here, federal business resources, state resources, and some local resources. You just have to click on each of the menu. Drop-down menu will show different resources listed. Check them out if you have time, because we have listed almost all the small business related resources organizations. Then we have, you know, testimonials, upcoming events, blog posts, podcasts. We do have also a new business show coming up, so stay tuned. And then the pages I want to show are here. You go to events, then you go to NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars, one of them you're attending right now. And we have this is the video library that I was mentioning. We have hundreds and hundreds of webinars. We've been doing this for the past 2-3 years, I believe. Definitely sign up for our newsletter and all sorts of topics. So again, procurement opportunities, certifications, SBIR, CTR, barcodes, taxes and BOI updates, human resources, things like that. All of Vanessa's previous sessions do that. And then the next page is this, all statewide events. And this is where you can find any upcoming certifications, events, or workshops. You just have to quickly look through them to find specific ones. So we have topics, we have webinars and events on all topics. There will be in-person events listed as well as online. There will be free webinars or events listed as well as some with a fee. So just make sure that, you know, you're aware of all those little details. And one more thing, we do offer counseling in Spanish, and we do have events and workshops happening in Spanish. For a consultant, just ask when you request counseling that you'd like to speak to a Spanish-speaking consultant. And for events, just keep an eye out here. There will be some listed. All right. So hopefully that answers a lot of questions. Thank you so much for attending our webinar. Let me just, yeah,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I just want to add, I'm sorry. I just want to add, I saw someone had put a question in the chat that really should have put it in the Q&A. And if it's okay, I just want to see if I can answer it. I don't know if the person's on, but the question asked about whether LLCs would still get 1099s. 1099 is the additional income independent contractor, as we know, format. And you get a 1099 by filling out a W-9 where your name, your tax ID, and that's what happens. The LLC can do that as well. You can get, you can be a 1099 LLC. You just, instead of the business relationship between yourself and the vendor, it's your company and the vendor. So you'd fill out your W-9 using your legal business name and your EIN, your tax ID. And then at the end of the year, the 1099 comes to the business. And then you use that on your Schedule C.
Thank you for pointing that out. I had completely missed it. All right, so upcoming webinars, Thursday, sorry, this says Tuesday, but Thursday, June 6th, we will have the Elevating LGBTQ plus owned small businesses webinar. If you are LGBTQ plus owned small business struggling to get the support, definitely attend this webinar. We will have Gus Penaranda, Executive Director for the NJ Pride Chamber of Commerce, as our speaker. So if you are interested, if you have a family member, friend that could benefit from this, refer this webinar to them. And we'll see you on Thursday. And that is it from us. NJSBDC has helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow. No cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, exclusive small business resources. If you need help, definitely check out njsbdc.com, and we'll look forward to having you in more of our webinars. Thank you for attending and take care. Bye. Thank you, Vanessa.